Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Monterey Bay Aquarium's Kelp Forest exhibit. My name is Kristin. It's a little after 10 a.m. here in Monterey, California, which means it's time for me to meet up with our diver, Patrick, to feed some of the animals in this exhibit. And
Hello there.
yes, there we go, Patrick. Looks like
Awesome. Here, I'm
you're...
just going to ask my dive tender to turn Kristin up here real quick. A lot of activity here, a lot of commotion here in the Kelp Forest exhibit as always this morning. But good morning, Kristin. Hey, Anthony, over there. Thanks for making sure the sound's looking good. Hello, everybody tuning in online on the aquarium's website, on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Periscope, and on Twitter. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, and you are joined by some very important guests because there's a leopard shark front and center, and she must know it's Shark Week.
It is, yeah, exactly. Let's get going, hand feeding some sharks here. It is Shark Week right now, so I think what I'm going to have to do, though, is get a little bit of food out to the hungry hordes over here. All right, go take a look over there.
Right.
All right.
They're trying to say it's Perch Week also. They would also like to eat. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got quite the hungry batch of fish here. This is their brunch, their first brunch here since a couple of days ago. They've been broadcast fed otherwise, or we just throw in the food, but the hand feeding there happens a little bit less frequently. And let's see, oh, we got some sheephead and leopard shark interaction there.
Yeah, it looks like our big male sheephead actually went down and around to chase a half moon who stole a squid. It was really exciting, right behind your head.
Yeah, oh, okay, that's a little bit of pandemonium right now. Let's see if I can get some more sharks being fed here. So these are some leopard sharks here, everybody. And they are one of the more common sharks you can find in Kelp Forest, especially in Southern California. We also have in this exhibit a swell shark. A swell shark is not just a shark that's really good and nice and dandy. It's also a shark that, if it gets scared or threatened, will swallow water and swell up to wedge itself into its rocks. Every so often we've seen the swell shark here, Kristin, during the feeding. Oh, we got the big male sheephead right there taking a closer look at me. Let's see if I can get you a squid here, buddy. There you go. That was for you. What'd you get? Oh, he got the squid and the shrimp, I believe.
Nice. Now, for size comparison, the swell shark, she's tucked inside a crevice right now, but she would actually be shorter than the leopard sharks who are up against the window right now.
I couldn't quite hear what you said there, Kristin, about what it is compared to the leopard sharks, but I believe you, whatever it is.
Yeah, the swell shark is a smaller, stouter shark than our long, slender leopard sharks.
Yeah, so what we have here with the leopard shark swimming around is a little bit more of a diurnal shark instead of a nocturnal shark with the swell shark. Swell shark's a little bit more active at night. Actually, recently, some Monterey Bay divers have been seeing a lot of swell shark egg cases out here along the coast. Those egg cases, also known as mermaids' purses, and those little swell sharks will develop inside that egg case between 9 months to a year. And every so often, oh, sorry, buddy. Every so often you'll see those swell shark egg cases laid here in the Kelp Forest exhibit as well. Again, known as mermaids' purses. And sometimes you folks out there will send us pictures of skate egg cases that you find on the beach as well. So there's a, what do you want to do? You want to swim through the communications cable? Yes,
Yeah.
we do. We got some some trick sharks right now there, Kristin.
As our leopard shark eels his way between your cables, one of our guests online wants to know if there are any eels in this exhibit.
Any eels in the exhibit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have any true eels in the exhibit, but we have a pretty good imposter in the wolf eel that you'll sometimes find swimming about. It's sort of a bluish gray color. That's right. We're talking about the wolf eel. Oh, you want to swim through the cables too?
I think that's a small
Let's
one.
back you up. I don't think you can fit through that small of a gap there. Yes. Who's a very friendly leopard shark? Who wants a fish? Who wants... Okay. So, sorry about that. So we do have the wolf eel in here every so often swimming about, but not a true eel. It has pectoral fins, which gives away the fact that it is not an eel like a moray eel, which does not have those pectoral fins. And moray eels are more common in Southern California. So not too many eels beyond that. We also sometimes have monkey-faced eels at the aquarium. They're also not an eel. They're a prickleback. Basically, any elongated fish runs the risk of being called an eel out there. So, yeah, that's the answer to that question there for the person online.
Yeah, if you keep your eyes out in the kelp forest, we have more than one wolf eel in here, but you need to wait for the cameras to pan towards the rocks. Like the swell shark we were highlighting earlier, the wolf eels are crevice dwellers. We're usually lucky if we see one out and about.
Yeah, so the eels that we have here along the coast of California, whoa, excuse me, buddy. We've also got what are known as snake eels out here. And recently some divers in the bay found one of those. Those are usually more Southern California, so lots of really cool activity going on out there in the eel world. As it relates to sharks that we're feeding here for the Kelp Forest exhibit, down in Southern California there's also what's known as taupe sharks or soup fin sharks that are commonly found in kelp forests. And also if you watch, I just had somebody poop right all over my face and the fish got all excited. That was fun. We have a lot of other shark species that you can find out here in the Monterey Bay, including you folks out there may know, you may have seen some of the video footage or photos of the humpback whale. There have been a few humpback whales that have washed up here in the Monterey Bay, and one of them was photographed with a massive, massive white shark feeding on some of that freshly deceased humpback whale blubber there. So we have big white sharks in the Monterey Bay right now. You may have also heard of the young sharks. That's right. That's right. We're talking about great whites right now. I know it's Shark Week, but we're not scaring people. Isn't that weird? All right, we need to get you through. Thank you.
Yeah, the sightings of seeing that white shark feeding on the blubber, scavenging, I think that's awesome because it's a really effective way to spend a little amount of energy and get a lot in return. It really shows how efficient sharks are as a group. Because with the fish in here, our guests are wondering, how do they get enough to eat? How do we make sure they get enough food? And I know a lot of animals like our sharks are just really efficient.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So the leopard sharks that we have in here, they're unlike the white sharks that have huge energy demands. White sharks are migrating between Hawaii and the California coast, and so when they're out there, they're looking for the biggest, butteriest, baconiest burger they can possibly find to be able to fatten up their liver to use as an energy store for travel. But like you're saying, they're very efficient. These sharks are very efficient in terms of their energy consumption. They don't eat too much food. Being cold-blooded or the same temperature as the water that they're in, and they really only need to eat a handful of times to be able to be just fine. In particular, I think actually one of the sharks loosened my mask a little bit. That was interesting. Kristin, as you know, the 7-gill sharks that we have here at the aquarium in the shark cam, they only eat, I believe it's 3% of their body weight every month, 10% every month?
Yeah, those answers are both right depending on what the water temperature is running. When we get the coldest times of the year, if you watch those big 7 gills on the shark cam, you're right, it's like 3% of their body weight an entire month. And I did the math, Patrick. If I ate as little as a 7-gill shark, I would be having 2 pieces of pizza.
Wow, every month. Yeah, that's no way to live. And it's also one of the reasons why it's so funny when we're at the aquarium and we have the shark feeding happening. Everybody shows up getting really excited to see what they think is going to happen for a shark feeding from what they've seen on TV during Shark Week. And instead what they come to see is a 7-gill shark being bumped in the face by a salmon steak. Them kind of like chewing on it a little bit. Actually I'm full. Then spitting it back out and having the giant sea bass come and grab it. So we can definitely tell you that everything that you're seeing on the news as it relates to sharks, it's one of those interesting things. Sharks don't have their own press corps. They don't have their own Facebook group that they can update themselves, no thumbs and all. So sharks really kind of are needing to let the PR happen from other folks. And in particular, whenever there's a shark incident, if someone gets bit or something spectacular happens It's all over the news all the time, and that's kind of what we think of sharks as doing. But one thing that we know from working with these sharks is that often they're just kind of chilling, swimming around, not really too hungry, not really doing too much. And so trying to explain to people that sometimes our shark scientists are bored is a very interesting concept for people to understand.
Well, we're seeing a lot of very chill sharks in this exhibit right now. I know there are a lot of individuals in this exhibit, but you might have to ask your tender. I know our animals sometimes move between exhibits. Do we know how many sharks are in the kelp forest right now? One of our guests online wanted to know.
Oh, that's a great question, and I don't know, Justin, if you know exactly how many sharks we have in the kelp.
Oh, we lost your voice. There you are, you're back. I don't know if you got an answer, but your sound clicked off for a second, so that might have been the tender.
Yeah, Justin, can you say that again? 7 is the idea. 7. Thank
Lucky
you,
number 7.
7 leopard sharks there. Yeah, so we have varying amounts of sharks in here because, like you mentioned, Kristin, they move around. In particular, this kelp forest exhibit is about 1/3 of a million gallons of seawater. But we have a much larger exhibit in terms of swimming distance available to them in the Monterey Bay Habitats exhibit. So as these sharks get bigger, they'll graduate over to that larger exhibit in the Monterey Bay Habitat. So if you come to the aquarium when we're reopened, you'll see that we often have young leopard sharks in the aviary that then graduate to the kelp forest and then graduate over to Monterey Bay Habitats.
It's a great way to use all the habitats in the aquarium, just like they would use all the habitats out in the ocean. Now, one question we had, speaking of habitats out in the ocean, one of our guests wanted to know if there are any sea turtles in the kelp forest. I know our 2 green sea turtles are massive, and they live in our largest 1.2 million gallon open sea exhibit. But I want to ask you, Patrick, as a diver, have you actually seen any turtles coming into the coastal kelp forests?
So I've never seen a sea turtle in the kelp forest out here, but I do know that it happens in Southern California with green sea turtles, and also every so often people will see olive ridley sea turtles along the coast. But seeing a turtle in the kelp is a relatively rare event because turtles are one of those animals that rely on warm water to be able to function, and kelp relies on cold water to be able to grow. So much above 68, 70 degrees, giant kelp, like you see behind me, stops growing. And often you find turtles in much warmer water than that, but off of Southern California, San Diego, and the Channel Islands, every so often people will see a passing sea turtle, especially in warmer times of the year, or if we have a marine heat wave or an El Nino, you might see more of those turtles. Every so often out here we'll see an olive ridley turtle that's made its way into the Monterey Bay and then gets a little bit too chilly, and then Dr. Mike will take care of it here with the rest of our veterinary staff here to try to release them back out to the wild.
Yeah, we did have an olive ridley pull his or herself up on the beach just a few years ago. Patrick, we've got some other fish who are being pretty active around you. I know one of our guests is keeping an eye out for the dramatic orange and black on our male sheephead, but he seems like he might be full. So someone else is wondering if there are any parrotfish in this exhibit.
Oh, any parrotfish? That's a great question. And a parrotfish is going to look very, very similar to that sheephead. Parrotfish are a type of wrasse. And the thing about parrotfish is they have a big beak that they use to crunch on coral. And if you enjoy the white sand beaches, like in the Maldives and other areas where you have a lot of coral surrounding and parrotfish and the fine white sand, a lot of that is parrotfish poop because they'll nab up a bunch of the coral, chew on it, and then they'll poop out on the other end the sand made up of the skeleton of the coral there. So we don't have any parrotfish in here, but like you were saying, Kristin, that male sheephead is a wrasse. It looks very, very similar. And another wrasse that we have in here are these orange cigar-shaped fish right here. Those are senorita wrasses. Those are the most parrotfish-like fish that we have in here, but no parrotfish in the kelp forest specifically because we don't have that same coral that they need in the wild.
We do see some round rounded faces on the opal eyes who have the white spots on their back, and a little bit on the half moons who are more gray and silvery. One just swam past Patrick's mask. Yeah, you were pointing at an opal eye there. So there's lots of animals that could have characteristics that look similar, which brings me to another question. Patrick, how many different species of fish are in the kelp forest these days?
Oh, it's a good question. You know, that also varies here and there depending on who gets put into the sardine school or who happens to be in and out. I do know that we have over 18 species of rockfish. I believe we're over nearly 40 species of fish in this kelp forest right now. So that's just a small smattering of the diversity that we have out here off of the back deck. I mean, I can just point out right here, besides the leopard shark, hey buddy, there you go. So besides the leopard shark, we have a black surf perch, a striped surf perch, an opal eye, rainbow surf perch right here. Down below me, we've got a copper rockfish, black and yellow rockfish, gopher rockfish, Garibaldi, kelp perch, the senoritas that are right up here. So already, and then we've got right here a blacksmith, half moon or up over here. So just in this small little area, we have like a dozen species of fish all around me. Who did I just bump into? Oh, it's a leopard shark. So we've got so many different species just right here in front of me, and that's just a small assortment of what we have out here. Along the Central California coast, you can find almost 75 species of rockfish in our area, and probably 20 species of surf perch. Incredibly diverse out here in the Monterey Bay.
Yeah, we are seeing some of the fish not coming quite all the way over to be counted. When you were doing your head count, I thought the anchovies were going to swim right over so they could be part of the identification, but it looks like they're staying just above you and to the side. So what's going to be our strategy to feed those?
Yeah, so to feed those anchovies right there, we've got Justin upstairs, who's my dive tender. He's connected at the other end of this hose right here, if I can find it. That's somewhere back there. I've still got air. So that hose there goes directly up to Justin. And he's got a bucket of krill that our husbandry staff, our animal care staff got ready. And so he'll be able to toss that in, and then the anchovies will go and grab their meal. So if there are any kids watching the webcam right now, your job is to pick an anchovy out there and make sure that they are all getting one krill. We're counting on you to. No, it's totally fine. Again, we feed these animals enough every day that everybody's getting enough food throughout the week.
Now, you said we feed these animals enough every day, they're getting enough food. That means they don't need to hunt each other. But one of our guests is wondering, have any of the sharks ever eaten any of the other animals in here?
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where if you were to say it never happens, that's when it's going to happen. So certainly there are fewer and fewer anchovies over time in that school, but I'm not exactly sure how much we can blame that on the sharks as much as we might blame that on the giant sea bass that we have in here, some of the tree fish, the rockfish. A lot of these fish here around us are predatory, and maybe even more so in terms of what they might go after with the fish life than the leopard sharks. These leopard sharks that we have here, they're, whoa, sorry buddy. These leopard sharks, they're more adapted, or they're typically feeding on things in mud flats like worms, clams, crabs, small fishes, and the like, whereas in here the giant sea bass in the wild would eat any number of these fish around me. So again, we might think that it's the sharks that are the main culprits in here, but it's probably this big, broody giant sea bass here behind me picking off some fish when we're not looking. But again, we try to keep the peace in here by feeding everybody so well. It's also important for the mental health of these animals that they have predators and prey together like they would in the wild, so they can exhibit natural behaviors.
Yeah, it's very stimulating. It helps to make their day more interesting to see their prey and see their predators. But right now their prey is the food in your bucket, and I can see you're practically out.
Almost out, yeah, for the smaller mouths in here. I'll see if I can get a couple more handfuls.
Yeah.
I do have a few more here for the leopard sharks if they decide to come back by. It seems like the leopard sharks got really excited very quickly and then have kind of mellowed out. You can see they're kind of maybe interested in dessert, maybe looking for an espresso, a little digestif or something to try to kickstart something, but yeah, I'm no longer being mobbed in quite the same way.
It calmed down a lot, and some of the animals will be getting food all throughout the day. We had a guest asking if the exhibit's connected to the ocean, and we are. We've got raw seawater coming in at 1,500 gallons per minute into this exhibit from the ocean. That brings in lots of invertebrates and food for our filter feeders. So I have one last question to end on, Patrick.
Sure.
It's about your experiences in there as a diver. Is it hard to breathe and talk and feed the fish at the same time? Do the fish come and peck at your mask and your beard?
It's certainly a bit of it can get a little bit overwhelming in terms of everything that's happening and trying to put on a good show. But as you know, Kristin, and as folks who work with me know, diving is one of my favorite things in the world, and talking is one of my favorite things in the world. So the two kind of come pretty naturally to me there. But yeah, what's interesting about this is just, you know, when all of our volunteers are doing this feeding show, one thing to watch for is, you know, you have to be a really proficient diver, just that the diving is secondary. So right now we kept the swim machine on, so I'm kind of being moved back and forth, up and down. So maintaining buoyancy can be challenging if I go on very long run-on sentences, because the longer I talk without having a good breath out, I'm kind of inflating my lungs, and you'll notice as I talk longer, I'll just start going up and up and up in the water column typically. So you'll sometimes see me take a good breath out to try to get down a little bit lower before I start talking. So there's a little bit of that balancing act, but main thing is, with everything here, is just trying to make sure that we're able to talk and hear each other across the window, knowing full well that I could just keep rambling on forever. You could walk away. Anthony could turn off my microphone. Justin could take a nap, and I would keep going. So it's definitely, that's more the delicate thing to consider.
It's such a team effort with everyone managing the sound and the food and the oxygen and the conversation. I'm so glad I was able to join you today for it. We may not have this partnership, but if you're wanting to watch more narrations after this, I've got a solo feed of the open sea on our website webcams at 11 o'clock. So feel free to get more conversation over there at 11 o'clock.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you want more narration, there's the open sea. Also, you folks may have seen that we've got Selka and her pup 893, that she's taking care of on our sea otter cam. Also on our website, so if you want to see a cute baby sea otter with Selka, she's being raised right now on exhibit, and that's going to go until the weekend, so definitely take advantage of that. But thank you so much, Kristin, for the Kelp Forest feeding. That was tons of fun.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us online, everyone. We wish you were here with us in person, but we're so happy we can connect online on the webcams, on Twitch and Facebook. It's been great, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And so for you folks that are tuning in right now, if you want to help support the aquarium, you can subscribe to our Twitch and YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, etc. You can also, below this on our website, donate if you want. And if you're on Twitch or YouTube, you can put !donate, and there'll be a little bot that'll give you that link there to donate on our website. Every little bit helps pay for this food to feed the animals, make sure that our exhibits look amazing. When we reopen, we're able to welcome you back, and we really appreciate all of your support in this time that we've been closed, and hope to see you again soon at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, either in person, but certainly online.
Thanks for coming, everyone.